I just finished watching the movie Free Guy, right? And there's a lot of other movies I've been watching, and it's just like, it's crazy how like the truth is right in front of our face. Like when they say hidden in plain sight, it's not hidden. And I've said this before in another one of my videos, but the truth is not hidden. It is in plain sight. What's hidden is your understanding of it, is our understanding of it, until we reach a point where we truly understand, because we're kind of living it. And what it is kind of like the same story over and over again. It's like the Matrix, you know, when you're in life and you something wakes you up to reality, and then you realize you're in a simulation, and you realize that people are stuck in cycles and they're doing the same shit over and over again. Like, and you realize that this is life, and then there's powers that be that have an understanding of how to use energy that's available to anybody, but they use it in the wrong way. So let me back up, right? So in the movie Free Guy, this AI, who's like a background character within a video game, wakes up and recognizes and realizes the power of choice, really. And then the other game players, the actual game players, come in and tell him that he's not real, right? But before he figures out he's not real, right, that he's in a video game, he starts choosing to do all these things differently, right? He thought he had to do the same thing over and over again, or he was programmed to do the same thing over and over again, to live in this loop, in this cycle, right? So he would get up, go get coffee, go to work, come back home, and that's it, right? And he thought that's all there was to it. So he was living a great life when all this shit was going on around him. So it was kind of like GTA, where people were robbing banks and violent toward each other. Everything was about money. You see money flying everywhere. You see people with guns everywhere, people killing each other and robbing each other everywhere, you know? And he's just in it, and it's like, you know, oh, this is a great life, this is how life is supposed to be, right? Until he wakes up. And what triggered him is that he thought he saw his one true love, right? Or he was programmed, this one player, this actual player was programmed to be his one true love, right? And when he saw her, he was prompted to do something to get next to her, right? Or to even speak to her. But he couldn't speak to these certain people in his world, right? And the people he couldn't speak to was the people who wore the glasses. People who wore the glasses were the actual game players. He didn't know he was a background player, but he knew that he couldn't speak to the people who wore glasses. But since he wanted to get closer, he was like, okay, I'm gonna get these glasses. So he, instead of being the background player and doing what he was supposed to do, he broke his routine and took the glasses of another player, right? And then when he put on the glasses, he was like, he started to see all this video game shit. Like, he started to see like the health pack and different words, bubble letters and all this shit, all the video game stuff, right? He started to see it, and he was like, what in the world? What is going on, right? So he realized nobody else that he knew could see this stuff. And he didn't really focus on that. He was like, all right, I got these glasses, I'm gonna go see this girl, right? So he went to go see the girl, and he realized some weird stuff was going on. Like, he didn't understand what she was saying, like talking about, you know, things about the real world, and you had to get points. And she showed him how where the points are, and he only had 1 point, right? So in order to get up to her level, in order to be acceptable to him, he was like, oh, I'm about to get a bunch of points. And he was like, how do I get the points? And she was like, I don't know, steal or kill somebody or shoot somebody. And he was like, I don't do that. I'm a good guy. Like, I don't do that, right? He was like, maybe I could help people and get points that way. So that's what he started doing. He started helping all these people. But he wasn't doing it just to help people. He was doing it because, you know, that was his nature, a good guy. And he was doing it to get to the level, to get close to the girl. And as he started leveling up, literally, right, he started getting noticed by the other side, by the players, but also by the people who programmed the video game, you know, because he was, not only because he was a background player doing this shit, but because he was doing good stuff. Like, he was helping everybody and saving everybody. He was changing the culture of the game, right? And he started influencing other people, right? They at first they didn't know how to feel about him. Then they started to like him, and he started influencing people. And the players, of course, he became a threat to the powers that be, right? So the powers that be started coming after him. The code that was stolen to make the game about robbing and killing and stealing and all that stuff was stolen from a game that was used for good. Like, the game was like a beautiful paradise, and it showed the progress and lives of all these AI characters, right, actually coming to life and learning on their own, like their own little world, right? So that program was stolen to make a game that was like about destruction and stealing and greed and all that stuff. So this good guy character coming to life was a threat to the whole culture of the game. And by the end of the movie, the ones who stole the programming was exposed. The game that was stolen became like a popular game or whatever. And the sales and usage of the first game went down because it was like glitches and all this type of stuff. But I say all this to say that this is real life, bro. This is real life. Like, it's literally the same story, like, told over and over again. And all these movies we watch, right? There's movies like, there were shows like Miss Davis. There's these movies that's coming out, like, what's it called? Flash and Spider-Man, all that stuff. All this stuff is reflections. All these sci-fi movies, all this stuff are reflections of true things, right? But this in particular is a story that plays out for real. And I'm not just saying that, like, I've experienced this, you know what I'm saying? Some video game type shit where you start waking up to what's real in the world, you start exposing what's real in the world, and shit be coming after you. I'm telling you, I had shit come after me before, like people trying to hurt you or demonize you or whatever like that. Like, I had some crazy shit happen. And that's beyond the point, right? It's not that, oh, this is the worst thing and it's gonna hurt me or anything. It's just beyond the point. Like, we don't gotta know all that shit. What we should know is the illusion, right? And why none of this is anything to fear, right? So in this game of life, right, we are programmed to believe that we have to behave in a certain way, that we have to reach certain goals, that we have to live a specific type of life. And we live in these cycles, right, of getting up, going to work, coming back home. And, we deviate from these cycles a little bit, but not truly, right? We're not truly awake to what's going on in the world. And it's not just what's going on in the world. We're not truly awake to who we are and the power we possess, right? Because of distractions, and because of the programming, So collective societal beliefs and like the need for approval from the outside world, from other people and stuff like that, keep us within the status quo, keep us not aware of who we truly are, right? But there are forces out there, right, quote unquote, the powers that be, that have information. So there's people who are enlightened who have awakened to who they truly are, right? But there's these powers that be who have the information of who we truly are, right? But choose to use it for wrong reasons. So what we are light beings, right? So the light, or the quote unquote magic that we possess, it's for the light, it's for love, right? So we have energies, we have powers, quote unquote, to use, but in a loving way. So what we do here is we level up to those types of powers, right? We level up to this understanding of this light that we are, and to these gifts that we have, and how to use them. And by the time we level up, we realize, how to use them in the way of the light, because you've experienced how to use them. But then there's these others who have this knowledge, right? And they have not leveled up. They've stolen it, right? Because they know certain things without knowing how to use it, without having the experience, without having the right intentions to use these things properly, right? So this power in their hands is more destructive than anything, right? But these are what we call like the puppeteers of this planet, right? And not only them, these are the people who, so this is like devil energy, right? So these are the energies with the knowledge of this power, but they use it for wrong. So the power that they use to control is fear, right? Rather than love, right? Love is not to control, but what the powers are initially for is for love and free for everybody, you know what I'm saying? As they level up and learn how to use them and come into them naturally, right? So these people, they are more ritualistic. These energies and people, whatever, are more ritualistic, and they reduce this energy, this innate energy, this power, this love, into magic, And not to say what we think of as magic, we think it's like beautiful and magical, but when it's used in this way, it's a reduction of the power of love, right? Because love is everything, love is all. So when we step into the energy of love in this realm, we step into it through a stair-step process, like where we learn and grow through our experiences. And as we grow more and more, we unlock different abilities and different ways of thinking and all these things, right? But these powers that be, right, that have the knowledge, but they don't have the wherewithal because they have not experienced those level ups, So they have the illusion of having power. And these are the ones that create illusion, right? The illusion of fear, right? And what do they do that for? To have power, right? To control, right? And there are other people who sell their souls to the devil, right? Quote unquote, sell their souls. They are their souls. They cannot sell their souls, but they pledge allegiance to this devil, right? And mind you, it is more people than you think. It is not just the powers that be and famous celebrities and all that. It's a lot more people than you think, right? And they're on the other side because they want the accolades, they want the powers, they want the abilities, right? So they'll do the devil's bidding in order to get these things and in order to understand the other side of it. Basically to have the cheat codes of this knowledge, right? So they feel like they're also in power. But what ends up happening is the devil is using these people, right, as their pawns, right? So they're kind of like the strings to the puppeteers. They're not the puppeteers, they're the strings. But they feel like they have it all because their life might look a certain way. They think they have the cheat codes, but they don't realize that this is not what life is about. You know what I'm saying? Because they've fed into the illusion of what the devil puts forth in this world. And the fear of not having it is a part of that illusion. So from the standpoint of the movie, like if you look at the world, the people with the glasses would be the people who have sold their souls, right? Who do all the stealing, do all the killing and all that stuff, right? And they use the background players as sources of entertainment, right? To kind of complete that story. They use these background players, right? So we would be the people who don't know about this stuff would be the background players. Treated as if they're insignificant or just used for their purposes, right? A lot of, like in terms of my story, there's a lot of energy vampires around me, right? So they know things about me and they feed off my energy, right? Or they know something about who I am, keep me in the dark, and are able to feed off my energy. This is not for play. I'm talking about real life, I'm talking about real shit. Well, semi-real because it's all a part of the game, right? But when I started waking up to this shit, bro, like that's when all hell broke loose. And that's when things started getting real weird, And that's how you realize, like, it's a game, you know what I'm saying? And you cannot be afraid. The trick to the game, and it's not necessarily a trick as it is just living in truth, right? You have to learn love. You have to learn who you are, and you have to stick to that, cling to that. So when these things come after you, when these entities, when these energies come after you, when these scenarios come after you, you have to not be afraid, Fear is the downfall of it all. And when I'm saying fear, like, to not be afraid means you do not retaliate. You do not retaliate. You stay in the utmost highest level of love, you know, that you can be, because that is who you are, right? And that's how you use those same energies against, and it's not like against these people who would are trying to take from you, you know what I'm saying? And you don't see them as the characters that they play. So, for example, in the movie, they kept asking the guy, like, where'd you get this skin from? Where'd you get this skin from? Like, because there was certain, because you know how your avatar, you dress your avatar in a certain way, and they're like, where you get this skin from? But in real life, you know, people trying to find your angle. Where you come from? Where you getting at? And this and that. And it's like, nope, just me. You know what I'm saying? The guy in the game, he's like, nope, I'm just Guy, you know? And she, one of the players, she's like, well, my name is really da-da-da-this. And he's like, well, I'm just Guy. Like, so you continue to be yourself, you know? And you see the real nature of the person playing the game, even if they're the ones trying to come against you. You know what I'm saying? You got to see their real nature to disarm them, you know? You have to only experience them in the light of the love that they are, because that's how you experience yourself. So you have to cling to that for everybody, and you see past the illusion. The second you start to feed into that illusion, the second you start to get defensive, the second you start to feel like you have to fight to protect yourself, that's when you start losing the game. They're like, oh, they playing now, right? So now if you playing that part, then you defenseless, you know what I'm saying? But you have to cling to what is true and let go of the illusion, because the game is the illusion. And the people coming up against you are not really your enemies. They're their own enemies. They have not realized what it means to sell your soul to the devil, right? They have not, and it's not that it's the detriment to them. They just haven't woken up to themselves. They're using all this energy. They're using all this quote unquote magic, but they haven't, and I say quote unquote because yeah, they could use it, whatever, but they are illusions. You know what I'm saying? This is not real, but they are really magical, but they haven't woken up to their true magic. So they're using this magic without knowing what they're doing. And I'm talking about masters in magic, masters in illusion. They don't know who they are, you know? So in this world of illusion, they can make this and this happen. They can make this and this happen, but they are not coming from the energy of love, you know? And that is where all is. Love is everything. You know what I'm saying? So they're coming from a place of lovelessness, right? So they're just playing more into the illusion. So that's why you have to have blind faith and not really be persuaded with your five senses. You know what I'm saying? Because that's all fear is. It's a persuasion, right? Fear is trying to persuade you to see something as it is not. And I say see something as it is not because you're looking at the illusion within the temporary. That's what you're using your five senses for. You're seeing an illusion within the temporary. When you see that, when you cling to the eternal, you have a knowing, you have an understanding, you have a foundation on what is real in the eternal, you know, and you cling to that no matter what you're seeing on the outside, right? And then that's when you become the free guy, you know what I'm saying? No matter, it's not that when you realize this and you know that this is going on and that's going on and people watch you and people stealing your energy, it don't matter. It don't mean it's going to stop, because it ain't stopping. You know what I'm saying? But what it is doing is losing its power, right? Because it does not have power over you. You know what I'm saying? You start to begin to know what's important, and you start to play your own game. You start to experience your own life from your own perspective, not from a programming. And you're still aware of the crazy shit, right? I'm not saying block it out and be like, oh, this is not happening. You still see that shit. You still understand what's going on. You see all the crazy shit that's going on. You see all the weird shit that's happening around you. You just ignore it. You realize it's not that important. You know that the power of love that you carry is way stronger than the illusion of fear that's being perpetuated, and or even with the minions that's working for the devil to perpetuate it. You know that they are not simply minions. You know that they are people. So you see them beyond what they see themselves as. You know what I'm saying? And your love is going to be stronger than what they're portraying, you know? And in this knowledge and understanding, you realize you are 1,000,000% safe. You know, even in the movie, the guy died like plenty of times and he woke back up like in his bed. And that's the thing, like, we're going to die at some point. So don't let the fear of death be your end or be all. Nah, like, we're going to die at some point. And if you're not meant to die at that point, you ain't going to die. Like, you'll be all right. Like, you know what I'm saying? You're safe. You're safe. When you wake up to yourself and the energy of love that you carry, you realize that's your purpose, that becomes your purpose to carry that energy of love, to continue to be it. And the people who still after you, who still trying to steal your energy, still trying to steal your shit, like, you realize you are a well of love. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing, you cannot be depleted. Nobody could take anything of value away from you. You know what I'm saying? And the ones that try to come up against you, they're coming up against themselves because of that loop of karma, right? You don't want to get caught in that loop. You don't want to get caught in having to pay that shit back. So you just let it go. You let it be. Don't fight. Don't fight back, because it ain't your fight. You do what you're meant to do. But ultimately, you know you're here to love and to be and to experience. And that's that. You know what I'm saying? Those are the things no one can take away from you. And when you become strong in knowing that, like, you realize your strength is stronger than their malice, you know what I'm saying? And you become more of an influence than what they're trying to influence on you, or what they're trying to put on you or on the world, or their anger, or their, you know, all these things come from not dealing with themselves, you know what I'm saying? They're children of God just like you, but they don't understand, they haven't gone through, or they're in a different stage in their process. So you know that you're stronger than that, you know what I'm saying? So they might be coming after you, but your job might be to teach them something just by the way you living and the way you're existing, you know? So you ain't got to worry about shit, you know what I'm saying? And you realize that this shit is a game, so enjoy yourself and experience. And love you and love them, and you don't have to deal with the shit that you don't feel like dealing with. And when I say you're safe, I mean you're truly safe, right? When all that stuff starts happening, it starts happening at the right time. Like your experience is still guided. Like Spirit is guiding your experience. So it's gonna happen. You think it's gonna be a crazy, all this detrimental shit, but no, it's like it's the shit that's supposed to happen. Even if it seems crazy, it happens at the right moment. And when I say you're safe, like that safety, it's on another level. Like when you feel like you're in a video game and you got immunity, there's gonna be people trying to come up to you, trying to hit you, whatever, and they can't. They cannot move. Like I'm telling you, like this is not no fake shit. Like you really like are protected, right? Because your intentions are pure. So and when you get to that point where you don't have that karma to pay back, nobody can touch you. They're gonna try, and they're gonna try to touch you, try to kill you, try to do all this shit to you. Like they can't touch you, they can't kill you, they can't do nothing to you. You are completely safe. It's a crazy thing. I swear to you, I'm not even lying. Like it's crazy. But Spirit got you. Like, but you gotta be. When you wake up, you gotta cling to Spirit. There ain't nothing else you cling to but Spirit and love and not retaliating. I'm telling you, there's nothing else you cling to. And you learn. You just learn more and more. Be hungry for knowledge, you know. And I'm talking about knowledge of the truth. You know what I'm saying? Knowledge of the truth and how to live in your truth and how to use those energies for truth and for love. There's nothing stronger than it. You know, they say that there's nothing stronger than fear. That's not true. There's nothing stronger than love, right? Fear imitates love. You know what I'm saying? It's a shadow, though. It's a shadow aspect of love. You know, shadows are unreal, man. But the light is real. The light is real. So you are the light. You have the light. So just know, like, to live from that light, because it's you. It is you. It is your power. It is how you win the game and become that free guy. You become that free guy. You know what I'm saying? You're free. You're free from it all. Free from the programming. You're free to make your own decisions, because what you thought was once important is not important, right? So you're not sacrificing your life to get things that the world is telling you is important. You know what I'm saying? You realize those things are there to keep you at a low level, to keep you from elevating. You know what I'm saying? So that's not your goal. That doesn't become your goal. Those things that are going to come that you need, the things that are necessary that you need are going to come, right? But those things are not going to be a hindrance to your growth if you decide not to let it be a hindrance to your growth, right? Those things, the money, the place to live, all those things are going to be a part of your protection. So you're going to be provided as Spirit need. You know, Spirit's going to provide for you. You know what I'm saying? It's going to come as needed. You know what I'm saying? That's that manna. It's going to come as needed. You just got to trust. You got to have faith, blind faith. You know, you will be protected. You will be taken care of, and truly be free without the attachments of the world. You know, and not saying without the attachments of the world, without the mindset that these attachments are a necessity, you know, because they're not. The only thing you need to cling to is God. The only thing you need to cling to is your faith. The only thing you need to cling to is the joy and the love that you are.